common question is, how much money do you actually need to retire? What's your number? Well, there's two ways to really figure this out. So there's one, base it on your income today, and the other one is, what do you want your life to look like? And we can go through that in a minute. So Gallup did a survey, and I thought it was very interesting, and I should bring this up. For people that were interviewed back in 2002, that were in their 40s, let's say, approaching retirement but not yet in retirement, 45% of them said that they could live comfortably in retirement, or at least that was their expectation. Gallup did the poll again in 2024, and what they found is reality, those that were actually in retirement, about 74% of them said they live comfortably. So I think people are a lot more afraid than what it comes out to be in reality. Now, going into this, if you use an income-based approach, generally a financial planner will say that you want to replace about 80% of your income. Well, how do you do that? Well, a lot of times a financial planner will say that you want to save enough money that you can have a 4% withdrawal rate to replace 80% of your current income. I'm going to show you why that doesn't really need to be the case. The reason why it doesn't need to be the case is because we have something called Social Security. I'm going to go through a couple of different scenarios with Social Security and how that impacts this 80% of your income. We'll look at $40,000, somebody that makes $75,000, somebody that makes $100,000 a year. And then here we have retiring at age 62 to collect Social Security. Social Security at 67, or full retirement age for most people now, 70 years old. And what does that 80% look like? And what is that gap from age 67 to 80%? If somebody makes $40,000 a year, they contribute to Social Security taxes for 35 years, and they retire at age 62, they would get about $13,000 a year in Social Security, which replaces about 33% of what they need. If that person retired at 67, they would get $19,000 a year, which replaces about 47% of their pre-retirement income. If they go and they delay Social Security to the maximum benefit of 70 years old, they would get $23,000 a year, and they would have about 58% of their income replaced. Well, what's the 80% amount? So 80% of 40,000 is 32,000. So if you had full retirement age and you've replaced 19,000, you don't have to come up with 32,000. You would come up with only 13,000. So if you look at that gap and you look at a 4% withdrawal rate, basically if you took 325,000 multiplied by 4%, or 0.04, if you had this number, you come up with that $13,000 a year. 325,000 saved over a lifetime is a little bit easier than $800,000. So if you retire and you have Social Security or other social benefits, you don't have to come up with all 80% on your own. In a lot of cases, about 40% comes from Social Security, and if you can come up with the other 40%, that's a good number to aim for. Now, if the individual makes $75,000 a year, you can see the numbers here. So they would have 19, 28, or 34,000, depending on the age that they retire, and it's about 26 to 46% of the income could be replaced. So 80% of 75,000 comes out to be 60,000 that needs to be replaced. If you're looking at the gap at full retirement age, that individual would want to come up with $32,000. In that case, they would have to have about an $800,000 retirement account. And if they get an account that returns approximately 7%, and they can withdraw approximately 4% per year through their retirement with a low chance of running out of money. 800,000 again is a lot easier than 1.5 million. For those that make $100,000 a year, Social Security would replace 22,000, 31,000, or 39,000, depending if you're retiring early, full retirement age, or maxing that out at 70. If you notice, the percentages go down the more money you make. So the more money you make, more of your retirement is going to come out of your own pocket. So it would replace 22%, 31%, 39%. If you want to replace 80% of 100,000, that comes out to be $80,000 a year. If at full retirement age, you can deduct that 31,000 off of that 80, and then basically you have to come up with about $49,000 per year. If you had 1.225 million, effectively at 4% withdrawal rate, that would give you the $49,000, which is easier than having $2 million. Something else that was interesting, so break evens. So should I take it at 62, 67, or 70? If you do a simple calculation, break evens between these are between about 78 years old to 82 years old. But if you take into account the time value of money, money today is worth more than money, 10, 20 years from now. And I could also invest and make money on that money, or effectively not withdraw from my investments for that period of time and let it grow. The time value, if you look at the break-even point, is more likely in the late 80s to 90s. So me seeing a lot of this data, I think for myself, I'll probably take it a bit earlier rather than waiting till I'm 70 years old. The other thing to keep in account is how old do people in your family live? So if most of your family dies in their mid-60s or early 70s, it doesn't make any sense to wait till you're 67 or 70 if you're not in good health. If you're in great health and most of your family lives into their late 90s, then it makes more sense to do it at full retirement or 70 years old. I'd probably take it in the early 60s and then at least not draw down my other accounts like IRAs and 401ks and things like that. The other thing to consider is if you have children or somebody you want to pass money on to, I cannot pass on Social Security money, but I can pass on an IRA or a 401k or cash. So I'd rather take this money and use it and take the money that could be used elsewhere or for my daughter or other people down the road when I'm older. I could will it to them. The other thing you want to keep in mind, just for awareness, there's Medicare. Once you're 65 years old, you can go onto Medicare. Part A, as long as you've paid taxes into Medicare for 10 years plus, Part A is free. Part B, if you make less than $106,000 a year, it's $85 a month. If you make more than $500,000 a year, it's $628.90 per month. Part D is your prescriptions. That averages about $46.50 on average. And you can take these numbers over there as well. So for me, the fun way of actually figuring out how much money you should have before you retire are to think about what you want in life, not just basically what's dictated to you. So figure out how much you want to spend each month, each year. We all have to eat. So are you going to go grocery shopping and cook everything for yourself? Are you going to have friends and family come over and have big dinners for like Sunday or something? And maybe you want to throw parties and have people come over. So that's something to consider. The other one is, do you want to eat out? And if you want to eat out, that costs a little bit more. So for my wife and I, we like to go out pretty often, but when we go out, it's not that expensive. It might be $25 to $40 when we go out. We'll usually go to lunch specials or early bird specials, so it doesn't cost a lot. But if you're somebody that wants to eat a lot of lobster, steak, have some wine and some alcohol and other drinks with your food, maybe every time you go out to eat, it's $150. So you want to know what is that cost and estimate it in there. The other one is, do you want to go on vacations? What kind of trips do you want to go on? You don't want to sit at home. Maybe you do want to sit at home. Those are completely different amounts of money that you need. So do you want to visit your family, your kids, go on road trips, things like that? Maybe if I'm going to go visit the kids or grandkids or whatever, and they have an extra room or place for me to stay on the couch, maybe it's only $200. That's not a big deal. But if I want to fly business class and I want to take international trips with a spouse, it's probably going to be $10,000 or more. For my house, let's say you could be in the country, you could be in the city, or somewhere in between. Is your house fully paid off and you're just paying the taxes? Maybe it's $500 to $1,000 a month in taxes, depending on where you live. and maybe you don't have a fully paid off house. What does it look like then? Well, maybe you have a mortgage or you don't have a house and you're renting. Well, if you're renting, you can expect rent to continue to go up each and every year. So that's going to have to get figured in, and it's going to chew a lot more money out of the budget. But effectively, maybe it's $1,500 a month, maybe it's $5,000 a month. Try to budget that. Where do you want to live? For me, as I get older, I'm going to want to live closer to infrastructure where I have access to hospitals just in case, I don't know, a heart attack or, something happens, I break a hip. Who knows? A couple other questions you want to think about is what age are you going to retire and what impact does that have on health insurance? If you're under age 65, you're not going to be covered by Medicare, so you're going to have to go through some type of private insurance and figure that out. How many hundreds of dollars a month would you have for that coverage? But if you're 65 and older, the benefit is you can go on Medicare, which is here. So it gives you an idea of what those costs are. And if you wanted to, you can get supplementive private insurance on top of that. Also, don't forget about, your utilities, your water, your heat, your electric, internet, cable, things like that. You probably want to stay active. If you want to stay active, that costs money. So do you want to be in clubs or memberships? Some people like to go to the gym, go golfing, go fishing, play tennis, go for walks, skydive, ski, or whatever the new thing is, pickleball, which is seems to be up and coming. Do you want to give a lot of gifts away? Do you want to give things to your family or donate to different organizations like food banks, churches, or other nonprofits? Do you want to volunteer with your time? Does it take transportation and other things that may cost money? The other thing is, do you want to leave inheritance to the next generation or to, university or colleges and things that you've gone to? So I'm going to assume a 4% withdrawal rate for calculations, same as we did up here. That reduces the risk of running out of money. And let's say I retire at 50 years old, I'm going to be living off of pretty much my money for at least 12 years before I can collect Social Security. So that's why I'm figuring out 100% of this is what I would need. So I take the number that I want, $120,000 a year, divide that by 0.04, which is 4%, and I end up with, my number is $3 million. So if I have $3 million in today's value, I would be able to retire. So if you're asking yourself, how the heck could you ever come up with $3 million? Well, a lot of that is not from my money. A lot of that's through gains, through investments in real estate, bonds, CDs, and most of it from stock market. And if you're interested to see how I did it over about 15-year period to get to a net worth of over $1 million, please check out the video, and that'll give you a pretty good indication of how you could do it too. It might take you a little longer, a little shorter, but in the end, we're in a race with ourselves. If you're interested in learning more about how to invest, how to save money, especially on taxes, how to make more money, and how to be an entrepreneur, please subscribe to this channel for you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.